and they may or may not have touched the towel as they did it. But I made weight.
We saw the video. Is there any truth to it? Obviously, what do they call it? The DC towel method, something like that.
I've got a new streak going. It's a good streak this time.
That's right. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, the last one was definitely infamous, good or bad, right?
It was. And that stupid Tony Ferguson is trying to take my record.
I was thinking about that.
I need him to win so bad, because if anyone was to beat my record, it'd be Tony.
You brought up the championship, right? That's something. Is that the aim right now? Is that like the #1 goal for you, sort of in the combat sports realm?
I want that belt. I'm good enough to get it. The organization is popular enough to make they want to make it happen. And yeah, I want that golden belt. I'll be able to for the rest of my life. There are black belts, and I will be a gold belt.
Sam Alvey coming off the 2 wins. Life is good. What's going on for you, man? What's going on for Smiling Sam?
Man, I'm just, back to training. I just bought a new food truck yesterday. So now I'm upgraded from a 12-foot food truck to a 20-foot food truck. Pretty excited about that. I blew my transmission yesterday getting the new food truck home. Not so excited about that, but what are you going to do?
Take the good with the bad, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got any plans for the food truck?
Well, my wife and I started a business about 2 months ago,
Okay.
and we've been doing real successfully. And we wanted to upgrade fast. We were going to give it a year, but we were doing well together. So we just bit the bullet, got a big, nice one.
Nice, man. And speaking of you and your wife, I saw you guys, they set you guys up good in the Dominican Republic. I'm sure you guys had a great time. Were you able to enjoy some of that time there? Obviously, you're there because of a fight, but were you able to have some downtime and enjoy it? I know it was your first time there.
Yeah, no, it was. So I've, unlike most fighters, when I have fight week, I spend all week experiencing the culture or experiencing the country, the city, the wherever I am. I just go out and see everything, talk to everyone. So my wife and I had a real good time.
For sure. And I got to say, like, obviously leading into that, you got the fight and the weight cut and all that. So obviously I wanted to start there. When you made the weight, it looked like you were kind of pumped, right? Was it a tough weight cut for you, judging by sort of the reaction? Was it relieving, or is that an accurate thing to say?
The cut wasn't tough, but everything else that happened during the cut was tough. So the Dominican Republic, it was a beautiful place, loved every part of it, except they don't have hot water in like the entire place. There's no hot water. My plan was to cut in a bathtub. I got down there and they said,
the hotel had no hot water?
For the most part. It was like lukewarm at best, but they didn't have any bathtubs either. So we went and saw the sauna, which I can cut in a sauna too. The sauna was just small. It was probably a 5-foot sauna, so I could fit, just not comfortably. And so my wife and I actually found a hotel inland an hour. We took an Uber out to there, and we spent the night there, and I was going to cut weight there. We got there. They had a big, beautiful bathtub, and I turned the water on, and the water doesn't get hot. Like, the water there was like, oh, so I'm doing everything in the sauna. Daddy. Hold on, I'm talking, buddy boy. You look pretty cool. So we got out to the new hotel. The water didn't go hot, so I was going to do it in the sauna at this new hotel. And the sauna was beautiful. It was big and bad. Got in there. This is all the night before the weigh-in. I cut for an hour and a half. I did like 40 minutes in, and then I lost a bunch of weight. Got out, let my heart stop beating a little bit. Got back in for 2 20-minute sessions. That night, I lost about 7.5 pounds. It was fine. I went and I slept the rest of the night. Got up early to do the rest in the morning, and I got up, got in the sauna. I was in there for 20 minutes, and the fuse blew on the sauna. So I went and talked to the front desk, and I was already a little dehydrated. So it was like I was talking, but not fully functioning. Talking to them, and they said, "Oh, it's not getting turned back on until 8 o'clock. Weigh-ins are at 8. Or at 9. I'm an hour away." So I said, "Ugh." So I talked to Britt. Said, "Britt, we got to go back to the other hotel. I'll use the small sauna. I'll use it." And so we went back. I did my last, 6 pounds, something like that, in the sauna there. And it was, my feet were on the wall, my head was cocked up. I did it. It wasn't the most comfortable cut ever, but I pushed. We had between 9 and 10 to weigh in. I weighed in at like 9:58. Like, I put myself in this. It wasn't, the weight came off easy, but it was just getting to and from and making, the different places I was trying to do it just didn't work out well for me.
Because it sounds like you had a great time there, right? But I'm sure that kind of was like a nightmare situation, right? Was there any point you were kind of like, damn, this place, Dominican Republic, don't have any hot water? There's got to be some point where you were like, Jesus Christ.
You know what? I told my wife, hey, on the way back to the hotel, I said, I'm not making weight. It's not going to happen. I don't think the sauna gets hot enough. And so we got to the new sauna, and I said,
So you had accepted the fact that you weren't going to make weight almost.
yeah, I said, I will give it till, 9:58 till I have to step on that scale to lose everything I can. And so my first session that next morning, I did an hour in the sauna. And an hour in a sauna while you're drinking water is hard. I was sitting there just killing myself. And I made it. I was under the wire. I was at 206, and I may or may not have touched the towel as I did it, but I made weight.
We saw the video. Is there any truth to it? Obviously, what do they call it? The DC towel method, something like that. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, to be completely honest, what happened is I left the sauna. I went straight. I walked across the place, kind of dizzy and all that. Got to the weigh-in spot. So it's like 3 minutes between sauna and the weigh-ins. My wife wiped me down. I dropped down to my britches, went behind the scale, and then I had to take my underwear off. So they put a towel up. I bent over to take my underwear off.
Yep.
And as I stood up, like it's like, whoa, you get that world spinning thing. So I grabbed the towel more out of stabilityness than anything. I stepped on the scale and I didn't realize I had touched the towel for hours. Like I didn't have any idea. And then all of a sudden I checked my social media after I was rehydrated again, and I was like, "Oh, Sam touched the towel. He pulled the DC." Did the thing. I didn't mean to do anything, but hey, I'll take it.
What a week, though, right? Between the hot water, and you're fighting in a place you've never fought before. I mean, I'm watching this and I'm hearing the British announcer yell, "Enter the pit," and I'm like, what is this, man? Like, this is a whole new thing. It must be new for you, right?
Yeah, it was. It's newest for a long time. The UFC. They knew where you were at every moment. They, babysat you for a week. Right. Karate Combat, they did a good job. They told me where to be, when to be there, but it was just a little different feeling. The UFC has, 1,000 people on staff to make sure you are perfect. No other organization in the world has what the UFC has. Sure. So they took better care of me than Bellator ever did when I fought with Bellator. Karate Combat was they really impressed me with everything they did with me that week.
I mean, different is something that really stands out, right? Because again, I mean, it's something you weren't used to, like as far as the preparation and just in an overall sense, even just walking out there. I mean, in the beginning of the fight, you're standing like on a wall, and then you have to like walk down or crawl down, meet in the middle. It was different, right? It was definitely different.
It was the coolest thing I've ever done. It was so much cooler than a cage or a ring or any of that. That pit is fantastic.
That is easily the coolest fight arena I've ever seen in my life. Like that's the 100%. One, the ones you pick in the UFC video games, like in the fantasy arenas, not like the real ones, but like the one, it looked like a temple almost, like an ancient temple in there.
This was the coolest place I've ever fought. It was in a cathedral. I mean, there was stone pillars and stone seating, and then the pit in the middle of it.
Is that what it was? It was a cathedral? Because I saw all those stone walls and everything. I don't know if they decorated it like that or if it was like built like that. So it's actually like an old building.
Yep, it's old. It's been around for 100 or hundreds of years. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful.
Right. And when something's different, obviously it sort of breaks the routine, right? You just said you fought in the UFC for years. You're used to sort of the MMA way of doing things, right? Was there anything confusing that made you sort of hesitate? Like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? Was it walking in or some of the rules when you were in there? Like, was there anything that made you sort of pause for a second because you didn't know 100% of what to do?
You don't know. At this point, I fought more than just about everyone that's ever fought. I just competed my whole life now. I've done a little bit of everything. And the one thing that is the same through every organization is they don't have a show unless I do my thing. So I know they'll forgive me if I do something wrong. So I do me, and when it's time to step on the stage, I just make sure I'm there.
For sure. I don't know if you've been asked this already before, because I'm assuming you've probably spoken about this fight a number of times already, but I'm tuning in and I hear George St. Pierre on commentary. And I mean, I don't know if he's like a regular commentator for Karate Combat, but what was that like? And Boss Rutan too, like having those two guys call your fight. Number one, what was it like? Number two, in your wildest dreams, would you have ever thought those two guys would be calling a Sam Alvey fight?
Yeah, but so Bas Rutten, I've met a couple times in the past. We've just been around California together. He's in
You guys are
Texas now.
you guys have been in the fight game for a long time, both.
Right. So I've met him a time or two. It's been a few years, but we kind of sort of know each other. And he is such a good dude. I mean, and he speaks so well, like quick. It just comes to me and he raps whatever he's gonna say, and he gets his point across. GSP, I've been in the same room with once, but I've never gotten to talk to him. And GSP is the GOAT. He is the greatest that has ever been. And I don't think there's a close second. And so that I actually, so they did a little interview with me after the fight. I had asked to just say hi to GSP. I asked one of the camera crew or one of the staff. I said, "Hey,
I
can I
saw
just
that.
say
Yeah,
hi to him?" Yeah, and they said, "Yeah, yeah, go say hi." And then they had me do an interview with
they
him, or
gave you the headset.
walk.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like, oh my god, I'm talking with GSP and Bas Rutten. This is the coolest thing ever.
you
And I was
manifested
just,
it.
yeah, I was just thrilled.
The odds were just about 50-50, give or take. They were obviously expecting a close fight, right? So, was he as good as you sort of prepared for prior to getting him out of there? Was, the action you were having in there with him? He was a tough guy, right?
Yeah, he was very fast. Like everything I knew was he's explosive. The one thing he really switched up is he was supposed to be a southpaw, and he came out orthodox. And with that karate style, the different stance really does make a difference to how I compete against him. So that threw me a little bit. That's why I went for the kind of the bad takedown at the beginning. I was just trying to get him back into a southpaw stance, and for the most part, it worked, which put everything back in motion where I could get that clinch and then attack off the clinch.
Speaking of the finish, you get the first round knockout. I mean, doesn't get any better than that, right? You're not paid by the minute. It was a good experience all around, right? When you get to walk out of there relatively unscathed.
Yeah, I got in there, I got out, I felt good about everything I did, and it was so much fun.
3-minute
I had
rounds
a
too.
yeah 3 minute rounds. I was conditioned for it. I was prepared for it, and that I could if I could have every fight just end in the first minute and a half, 100%. That's what I want.
As far as your future, right? It's obviously, I mean, at least compared to the last time we talked, it looks like it's a bit more clear now. I know you've dialed in over the last several months, right, on the karate aspect of it. Is this something like, is this the obvious direction in which you're headed in? You're trying to make something out of this now here at Karate Combat?
Yeah, no, I'm under contract with them. I would love
Right.
to fight for them for a long time to come. They treated me very well. The pay is good enough for me to want to fight with them, and I really admire everything and the people behind it. And more than that, it is about the most fun combat sport I've been able to watch. I found it 4 or 5 months ago, watching Raymond Daniels, and just the production value and the camera angles and the pit and the background. They just do an incredible job. The pacing of the event is better than just about any other event I've seen.
Yeah, Raymond Daniels is really good.
Oh, dude, I hope he never comes up to 205. I don't want to. He makes me want to wrestle. Nobody does that.
Sure. It's funny. Listen, I mean, is it possible that since you're so focused on this, are you done with MMA, or is that something maybe one day you'll entertain?
Hey, maybe I'll go back. I like fighting. Hey, if somebody off, if Jake Paul says, "Hey, I want to fight Smiling Sam," I'll say, "No, you don't," and then I'll go down and I'll whoop the taste out of his mouth too. I'm pretty. I mean, I love this karate combat. I'm involved with it. I'm training for it. I'm even thinking about building part of a pit here on my property, just to play with. It would just be a lot of fun to play with. And I'm gonna I'm going to train for my next fight, which I know will be with Karate Combat, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I mean, yeah, we've talked about the Pauls on here a couple times already. That we know that'd be fun. But as far as the Karate Combat, we saw you talk about it a couple times, I think, on social media. You brought up the championship, right? That's something. Is that the aim right now? Is that like the number one goal for you, sort of in the combat sports realm?
I want that belt. I'm good enough to get it. The organization is popular enough to make they want to make it happen. And yeah, I want that golden belt. I'll be able to for the rest of my life. There are black belts, and I will be a gold belt.
Definitely a good organization. Like the more I looked into it, the more I mean impressed I am with it from just about every aspect. Honestly, have you been impressed with it so far?
Yeah, from the beat, I started watching Raymond Daniels fight, and I just started looking into it, watching the fights, and the pace of the fight is very fast. You don't have so much wrestling or jujitsu to have to worry about. You get to just open up with your hands and feet and do a lot of the spinning stuff.
Your next MMA fight, I got a great idea. You versus Jake Paul. PFL debut versus Brendan Schaub. What do you think? Triple threat match. What do you
Triple
think?
threat match. You know, let's put some late ladders, tables, and chairs in there. We'll have.
So you want a TLC match?
Yeah. We'll put Logan Paul's fatal 4-way.
You just want to put Jake Paul through a table, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, you know it. You know it.
Yeah. So it looks like you keep up with the sports now, right? I mean, with the sport, right? MMA. Obviously, I see you stay active on social media, right? I saw you sort of put something in support of Bryce Mitchell, the stuff you put up as far as the Bible and everything. Like, he's obviously a strongly opinionated guy, right? So there's something to respect from that. What do you think?
Bryce Mitchell's a man. I mean, that any time you get a spotlight like that and you can, shine praise unto our Lord and Savior, I am all about that. And most people don't. I know most of my career, I tried to do it a different route, but from here on out, I'm taking the Bryce Mitchell approach. I'm just gonna loudly and proudly say it every angle I can. And he was able to lead like that really was he made a lifelong fan out of me.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because it definitely stands out that he's not afraid to speak his mind. So I think that's something that could be commended in some assets.
He is. He is a little nutty though, because
sure he is. Yeah,
the Earth is not flat. I don't care what he says.
I agree with that.
It is not flat.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of social media, right? The Overdogs podcast. I mean, I see you guys out there. You're interviewing John Jones, Brandon Moreno. It's pretty good stuff, man. Have you been enjoying that?
Yeah, I started doing it with my own YouTube page, just at Smile and Sam on YouTube, and they kind of saw it and liked what I was doing, and so we started collaborating a little bit, and we've had some really good podcasts going. We've had a lot of good guests, and we've been getting some real rise on the air.
You got a new one now too, right? I think I saw something like that. Is there something? Did you join something else recently?
No, just Overdogs, and then I'm always doing interviews. Like I'm just constantly, anytime somebody asks for one,
it was probably like an interview or something. Yeah,
it was more than likely just an interview.
Yeah, as far as the Overdog stuff, where can people find that?
Kun Pai Pandas. That they're a big sponsor of John Jones and Bo Nichols and a few other big, Mighty Mouse and fighters like that. That they're all over the world. So you can look at Overdogs on Twitter, on YouTube, or you can go to the Kun Pai Pandas page.
Well, listen, Sam, that just about covers it, man. I think we pretty much got to everything. I'm sure your next fight, it's going to be an exciting one. And it was good to talk to you, man. Congratulations on the win. It was good to see you get your hand raised again. Second time in a row now.
I got the streak. I've got a new streak going. It's a good streak this time.
That's right. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, the last one was definitely infamous, good or bad, right?
It was. And that stupid Tony Ferguson is trying to take my record.
I was thinking about that.
I need him to win so bad, because if anyone was to beat my record, it'd be Tony.
He's at like 6. Do you actually want him to beat the record, or is that kind of just a joke?
No, listen, if I'm going to have a shitty record like that, I want to have the record. I don't want to share it with anyone. I want it to be my record forevermore.
Makes sense. If you're going to be the best at, even if you're going to do something, at least be the best at it, right?
Yeah, if I'm going to have the worst streak ever, I want it to be my streak, not our streak.
All right, Sam, good to talk to you.
Hey, good to talk to you, my friend.